Hello, I'm Gary Steele. I welcome you to this audio, the number one secret to creating better relationships starting today. I've been teaching workshops on relationship dynamics for closing in on a decade now. And what I have observed is that people are stuck in this fantasy that relationships are supposed to be happy, happy, nicey, nicey, lovey, lovey, easy, easy. And that they are supposed to live happily ever after. That's just not the purpose of relationships. The purpose of relationships is not to be happy. The purpose of relationships is to have that person push your buttons and for you to push their buttons so that you can both grow by learning to love the parts of yourself that you have yet to love. So the number one secret to creating quote-unquote better relationships starting today is to realize that the purpose of relationships is not to be happy. That the purpose of relationships is to grow, and that within relationships there is going to be pain, pleasure, peace, war, happy, sad, nice, mean, praise, and reprimand, and it's going to be balanced 50-50 in every single relationship. So the number one secret to creating better relationships starting today is to realize that every relationship is the perfect relationship. Perfectly designed to push your buttons and for you to push their buttons. We're going to jump to a live interactive conference call on relationships. We look forward to seeing you at one of our live events real soon. We'll talk to you then. I hope you enjoy the conference call. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So relationships, we're going to talk about relationships tonight and how can gratitude play a role in relationships. Well, that's kind of self-obvious, right? I mean, if you're going to be thankful for your relationship, that's going to be some powerful stuff for you. I love relationships. I love talking about relationships. I love it. I love breaking the myths out there about relationships, that you're going to be happy and you're going to find a happy, happy relationship, and that you're going to be able to move to a relationship that's better, a better relationship. One of the topics in the home study course is there's a whole section. It's about, 5 or 6 of the audios are dedicated to relationships. They're each about 3, 4, 5 minutes long. But in the relationship section, or talking about relationships, how many of you guys know people who you see them go through relationship after relationship or marriage after marriage, and it just doesn't seem to stop? And you ask yourself, why? What the heck's going on? And they're looking for the happily ever after. They're looking for the better. It's going to be better when. They're looking for that. They're looking for the perfect mate. They're looking for the perfect relationship. It's going to be better when this happens, or better when that happens, or it's going to be wonderful when I meet the perfect person or the perfect mate, or what goes on out there is when I meet my soulmate, it's just going to be, oh, so great. Do you know anybody like that?
Me.
I'm not the only one that lives in that illusion? There's others?
No, I was speaking for most all of us.
Great. Well, Guess what? You're in the perfect relationship right now. You've already met the perfect husband, the perfect spouse, the perfect mate. They're already here in your life right now. When you begin to love your relationship for what it is, as it is, here now, it begins to become what you would love. When you love it for what it is, it becomes what you love. When you love the person for who they are, they become who you love. So how many of you guys would love to have more happiness in your relationship?
Me.
How many of you guys would love to be more happy?
He's already happy.
Am I the only one again? Well, I'm sorry to burst the bubble. Guess what? More happiness is not on its way. No matter what you do in your life, you're going to experience moments of happiness, whole moments of sadness, and they're going to be equilibrated 50-50. So in your relationships, right here, right now, you're going to have half happy, half sad, half nice, half mean, half likes, half dislikes. How many people on the line think that relationships, the purpose of relationships, the purpose of marriage is to be happy? Again, am I the only one?
Yes, you're the only one.
Okay.
Sorry, Gary.
What's that?
I said, I'm sorry.
The purpose of relationships and the purpose of marriage is not to be happy. The purpose of relationships and the purpose of marriage is for them to push your buttons and for you to push their buttons. For them to both support and challenge you, and for you to both support and challenge them. So that whole dynamic dance of love that goes on between you guys is whatever you express, they repress, and whatever they express, you repress, and this whole dynamic dance of love perfectly equilibrates itself so that you both can learn, grow, and expand, because it drives the conscious evolution of mankind, support and challenge. So you attract to yourself your exact opposite in the hierarchy of your values. That happens 70% of the time at least, if not higher. You're going to attract to yourself your exact opposite values. So whatever is most important to you is going to be least important to them, and whatever is most important to them is going to be least important to you. And the two of you together make up a whole dynamic dance of love. It's a dynamic dance of love, and the two of you, it just intertwines into itself, and you just play this dance magnificently. Have you ever pushed buttons in a relationship just for the sake of pushing buttons? You literally, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. You observed yourself. You observed it. You knew what you were going to do before you did it, and you did it because you knew it was just going to make them mad. Again, am I the only one that has had that experience, or has anybody else had that experience?
Some of us,
Just you.
some of us have several marriages, so we've had the opportunity to do that in the past.
Okay. It's like there's some divine intelligence guiding this dynamic dance of love that somehow it flows through you, and you know exactly what to do to push their buttons, and they know exactly what to do to push your button, so that they and you reflect back and forth to each other the parts of yourself that you have yet to love, so that you can learn to love more of yourself that only you get to love because they're reflecting that back to you. And it's so magnificent that they are going to reflect to you something unique that only they can reflect to you. That's why there's so many of us on the planet, and that's why there's no two people the same, is because each person is reflecting back to the people in their sphere of influence unique parts of themselves that they have yet to love. It's a magnificent dynamic dance of love. So you're thinking, well, what does gratitude have to do with that? Wow. It has to do with this. They're giving you the opportunity to experience many moments of gratitude because they piss you off a lot. Every time they push your buttons and make you mad, that is an opportunity for you to see a part of yourself that you haven't loved, so that you can go to work and own it and love it for what it is as it is, and get in touch with your heart and experience a moment of gratitude. A true heartfelt moment of gratitude for your life and for your mate and for your relationship, for what it is as it is. And
So we're not looking for a soulmate. We're looking for a push-button relationship.
Yes, absolutely, just like a remote control. Yeah, we're not looking for soulmates because we're all soulmates.
Right.
If you trace our roots back far enough, we all come from the same source, no matter what you believe. If it's evolution, we all evolved from something, and the Big Bang in the universe, the stuff that's on the planet, as far as I know, we all live on the same planet. It's called Earth, and it originated from something, no matter what that something is. So if you believe in evolution, then we were all evolved from the same stuff. So if you believe in creation, if you trace that back far enough, we all originated from the same stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, we're all soulmates, and we're all a part of the infinite oneness, and we're all here to push the buttons of the people around us so that we can all learn to love more of ourselves, more of life, more of God, more of the universe that we have yet to love in this giant dynamic dance of love. And it's if we were literally able to step back big enough and see the whole planet and see all the people on that planet and see how this magnificent dance of love just ripples around the planet. If we were able to observe that, it would humble us to our core, and we would literally sit there and sob tears of love because we were humbled to our core of this magnificent intelligence that's running it all. And it's amazing. So the purpose of relationships and marriage is not to be happy. The purpose of relationships and marriage is to learn to love and be able to experience gratitude. It's a tool to have gratitude. It's a tool to learn, grow, and expand.
Is that learn to love or learn to love yourself, Gary? Which?
Either one. That is what you're doing, period, as you're learning to love more of yourself no matter what love it is you're working on. That is the infinite journey that you're on, because you're the only eternal part of your life. Everyone else in your life is transient. They come and go. In every relationship, guess who shows up? You do. In every interaction between two human beings, guess who shows up? You do. So no matter what is being reflected back to you and you're learning to love more, it's always you're really learning to love more of yourself. In turn, then you're loving more of God, more of life, more of the universe. Because you're reflecting back out to yourself, back out into your world now, a greater degree of loved parts. So that then is going to start reflecting back to you, and it's just this dynamic. That's a new word, dynamic. This giant dynamic dance of love, and it's so amazing, so profound, so magnificent. You can't mess up your part of it. In a relationship, you are the perfect mate, as they are the perfect mate to you, because you're each perfectly designed to push each other's buttons. It's not like by chance. It's not by chance that you happen to be with the person you're with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's an intelligence that put you two together so that you could push each other's buttons and achieve maximum growth being together.
Are you sure it wasn't an April Fool's joke?
Gratitude in relationships. If you want more quote-unquote happiness in your relationship, begin to love it for what it is, as it is. Experience gratitude in it, and it will become a fulfilling relationship because you see both sides. The more you're willing to embrace both sides of the positive and the negative, the nice and the mean, the happy and the sad, the more you're willing to embrace that, the more fulfillment you can experience. We've been taught, we've been programmed to chase this half-fulfillment, this half-quantum event. We've been programmed to chase this illusion to the state of almost delusion of happiness, the one side of the wave, the top peak of the wave. We've been taught to chase that and ignore the other, and that is a half-fulfillment. That's a half-filling event. If you see both sides and you have fulfillment, that's a full-filled experience. So would you rather have half of life or full of life? Would you rather have half full or full? You'd rather have full, right? Full comes by embracing both sides. In your relationship, every relationship you have, whether it's an intimate relationship, whether it's an interpersonal relationship, Any relationship you have, any interaction between human beings, that is a relationship. If you're interacting at all with a human, that's a relationship. Why? Because you're relating to each other. So all interactions with all people that you interact with, that's a relationship. And they're in your life, they're in your circle of influence to push your buttons, to reflect you a part of yourself that you have yet to love, to show you parts of yourself that you have yet to love. It's a magnificent dynamic dance. It's brilliantly designed, and you can only see it with equilibrated eyes. If you're stuck in the illusion and chasing the illusion of a one-sided thing that your relationship is all bad or your relationship is all good, you're going to miss the magnificence of it. You're going to miss the magnificent dance that you can only see with equilibrated eyes. How many of you guys have seen the movie Vanilla Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few.
Was that Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise, Penelope Cruz.
Music by Paul McCartney.
In the beginning, yeah, lots of great music in that. In the beginning, how does the movie start? Does anybody remember?
I don't remember now.
Open your eyes.
Oh.
Yeah, open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
Abre los ojos.
Open your eyes. See the magnificent dance of love that exists in your life at all times, and you can only see it by seeing both sides. If you infatuate or elate with one side and ignore the other, you're going to live in. If you open your eyes, you can see the heaven, the magnificent dance of love that exists between all humans. If you would love to have the relationship you would love to have, simply love the one you've got and it will become the one you love. If you would love to love the person you're with, or you would love to have somebody that you would love, just simply love the person you're with and they will become the one you love. You remember the song? Love the one you're with?
You can't be with the one.
Just love the one you're with. Love the one you're with and they will become the one you love. How do you get there? You do it through gratitude. How do you experience gratitude? You see both sides. How does their crap serve you? How does that crap you just can't stand, how does that serve your life? Go to work and find how it serves you until you say the words, thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you, and I love you. That's the magic point. Gratitude in relationships. One of the greatest things you can experience is to love your relationship for what it is as it is. If you're chasing the fantasy of the perfect mate, give it up because they don't exist, because every mate you're with is the perfect mate. I call it the same stuff, different package. People are chasing the illusion of happiness, and they chase the person, looking for that happily ever after, and what shows up in that relationship is the same stuff. And that stuff is nice, mean, happy, sad, pain, pleasure, support, challenge, praise, reprimand. No matter what relationship you land in, that same stuff shows up. It's just same stuff, different package. That's all.
And it's just the search for the self.
It is just the search for the self.
Mm-hmm.
Now, within your inspiration, the mission and vision and purpose of your life and the mission and message of your soul and what it is that you're here to do, once you understand this dynamic that no matter what relationship you're in, you're going to have pain, pleasure, peace, war, acceptance, rejection, once you've mastered that and truly love the one you're with for who they are as they are, and you've learned all that you can learn there, and it's now decision time relative to your mission, does being with the person you're with inspire you? That's where you want to look for. Inspire you means you're willing to endure the pain and the pleasure of being with that person because it inspires you in your heart of heart. If being with who you're with inspires you in the direction of your mission, then rock on. If they don't, then it's something to look at and consider. Because no matter what relationship you're in, you're going to have pain, pleasure. And once you've mastered that, you can now begin to choose the pains and the pleasures the peace and the war, the nice and the mean, the happy and the sad, the praise and the reprimand that you're going to endure in any relationship that you're going to be in. So if you want to list out the perfect mate, you want to list out the qualities of the perfect mate, remember they have two sides. That means if you're going to list, on one side we're going to put all the negatives, on the other side we're going to put all the positives. So if you're making a T-chart for your perfect mate, don't forget the negatives. If you're going to list out your perfect mate, don't forget the negatives. And you say, why? Why would I ever want negatives in my perfect mate? Why? Because everybody has two sides. Why go into a relationship infatuated, where you're completely blinded by infatuation? All you see is the positives. All you see is the good stuff. What about all the other stuff? You're only going to love half of them, or are you going to love all of them? If you're only going to love half of them, guess what? Eventually the other side shows up, and then you're like, oh my God, who is this person? I don't even know who they are anymore. Well, it was there all along. You just didn't see it because you're blinded by infatuation. So when you list your perfect mate, list both sides. When you're looking for your soulmate, list both sides. They've got positives and negatives, nice and mean, happy, sad, pains, pleasures. List both of what you're willing to endure, both sides, what you're willing to endure on the grand, journey of your life. The way to the perfect, quote-unquote, perfect relationship, the happy relationship, is through gratitude. That means love it for what it is as it is here now. Create the perfect relationship out in the future. You can do that, but you have to bring it into the here and now, which means see it for both sides. Bring it to the now. Love it for what it is as it is here now. And if it resonates in your heart, then go pursue it because you're willing to endure both sides. Gratitude, it is the key to life. Being able to bring yourself to a state of equilibrated perception where you see both sides, equal positive and negative, and you bring yourself to the center and you say, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for my life.
I forget the name of that particular.
Okay. I haven't had algebra for 27 years.
I thought it'd stay with you forever again.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's like math, use it or lose it, right? It's like I can, 1 plus 1 is 2.
And it's funny because in algebra, you have positive and negative, and they all have to be lined up. They both to complement each other to give you that answer, but I can't remember right now how it works. It's funny.
Well, I understand what you're saying because on both sides there could be variables.
Yes.
But with all the other constants, those variables eventually have to add up to equality. So who you pick is going to be your equal in some way, but with different variables.
Right.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions about relationships or gratitude? Are you working on anything that you're stuck on that you need help on? I love unsticking your stuckness.
Well, Gary, I was thinking you brought up Love the One You're With, but it reminds me of another song, I've Looked at Love from Both Sides Now.
Wow.
And the movie says open your eyes, but unfortunately most people jump into a relationship and it's open your eyes, and then they get locked in.
Okay.
Actually, Gary, I have a question. You had mentioned about asking yourself after if a relationship inspires you. So my question is that after a person has evolved and has realized things and come to gratitude, what if a person realizes that the relationship they're in is not inspirational, and if their values have shifted somewhat, what if it's not working anymore with that partner?
Okay.
I'm talking about you and me. Don't worry about it. Okay, it's good. Go ahead.
Okay. In this regard, the person would definitely want to make certain that they're not in the avoid pain, gain pleasure mode.
Okay.
Thinking that there's going to be more pleasure in a different relationship or by themselves, whatever. If they're in the avoid pain, gain pleasure mode, then they're still in the infatuation, resentment mode in the relationship that they're in the first place. Inspiration is in your heart. You know it in your heart of hearts, your core of cores. It just speaks to you clearly, and you know. You don't even have to question it. You just know. So there's the way to do that is, if it's over, like the typical thing that happens is they meet somebody else, whatever, that kind of cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to have three options. One, stay in the relationship you're in. Two, be in the other relationship. Or three, no relationship at all. And how to make that decision from your heart is to equilibrate each of them individually on its own. Equilibrate the relationship that you're in. Love it for what it is, as it is here now, which you're going to learn through the course and the upper level of events exactly how to do that. Equilibrate it for what it is, as it is here now. Own your stuff within that. Do the same thing. Equilibrate the new relationship. Equilibrate it for what it is, as it is, and then equilibrate having no relationship at all. And when you put yourself in your heart, for any of those one, you're going to know which one resonates in your heart, because your heart doesn't lie. Your heart leads you in the most fulfilling direction of your life. Same way as your intuitions and your inspirations are leading you on the journey of your life towards maximum, we'll say maximum fulfillment on the journey of your life. It's pulling you in the direction of your inspirations, your intuitions are. When you're in your heart, it doesn't lie in taking you down the direction, the road that is your next step on the grand journey of your journey of jumping from quantum to quantum as you learn to love more of your life and you're making those quantum leaps. Your heart's going to lead you in the direction, and you get there by just what I said. Equilibrate the relationship you're in as thoroughly as possible. Equilibrate the new relationship as thoroughly as possible. Equilibrate having no relationship as thoroughly as possible. And your heart will tell you. Your heart doesn't lie. And you just know you know. And then as you learn and you study this work, you're going to realize there's no right or wrong decision anyway. So no matter where you go, you're going to have pain, pleasure, support, challenge, peace, war, acceptance, rejection. And it's going to be a journey of love. And it may be 5 years in the future, or 10 years in the future, or 1 year in the future, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And you work in an equilibration. When you reach a state of equilibrated perceptions, out there in the future somewhere, you'll have a flashback back through the journey of your life to whatever event that you're relating on at that moment, and it flashes back with such clarity, and the message is so clear that, oh my God, the journey I took was the exact journey I was supposed to take so that I could be right there, right here, right now, having that experience of love. When you do this work, I've had so many glimpses of the magnificence that I've just often made the statement to the universe, if I could figure out a way for people to just get a glimpse of how magnificently designed their life is, it would be amazing, because it's perfect. So no matter what decision is in that relationship anyway, it doesn't matter because it's perfect. Because it's going to take them on a journey of love. But to truly find what is in your heart, it takes what I said. Equilibrate the one you're in, equilibrate the fantasy one, and equilibrate the one with none. And the one that resonates in your heart, that's the road to go down. Does that answer it?
Absolutely. And that made me think, too, of, and I'm using a stereotypical extreme example of a woman who's being abused. A lot of times they'll leave that relationship and they'll end up with the same kind of guy, different packaging, but end result will be the same. And that's, I guess, because what you're saying, they didn't work out that first relationship in their heart.
Same stuff, different package, right?
Yeah, that's why they end up with the same thing again.
Absolutely. Until they love it for what it is, as it is, guess what's going to happen? The universe is going to keep bringing it to them.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, I find it's different what you just said than what I've heard in more recent years about putting a list together of what you don't, what you would maybe consider as negative qualities in a person in addition. And it actually makes perfect sense because you're going to get the package, so you might as well choose the parts you want.
Absolutely.
Like they both come with it. So thank you for that. I'll have to correct some of the things I've said to some people.
No worries. Anybody else have something to add that they would love to add for tonight? Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir over here. When you put a person in your heart, when you put them in your heart of hearts through this work of equilibration, they're with you forever. Nothing's missing. Everything's always present. It just changes form, as you said. So when you put them in your heart, they're never missing.
No,
and you can move forward quicker in your life as you do that. Great, guys. Anything you want to add, Mike? Mike must have had to jump off the call. All right,
Larry,
guys.
would what you just said explain why people choosing their mates versus arranged marriages seem to work out the same?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's an infinite journey of love no matter who you're with, right? It's an infinite journey of love no matter who you're with. So no matter if it's an arranged marriage or you married for quote-unquote love, what's the bottom line? They're going to reflect you parts of yourself that you haven't loved, and it's going to be a journey of learning to love those parts. No matter what, that's going to be the journey. So, yeah, brilliant observation. All right, guys.
Gary,
we're going to go. Yes.
Before we wrap here, I do want to go over one thing. I was talking to the mute button, and just to requalify what you said earlier about, you made a comment about what your belief is in terms of, values and relationships in one person.
My beliefs are my belief.
It's not your beliefs, but you qualified them, and you did a heart-filled soul search to make sure you said if you're not inspired anymore, then you qualified that, and that I would hate to see somebody make a mistake or be impetuous and just toss somebody to the curb without having on a whim because they didn't feel inspired one day but didn't do the process to go through that. And I want everyone to know too that there is a step-by-step process that we open up people's heart with, and when that happens, Gary said it over and over, and we'll say it over and over. There are really only two words you say, and it's "thank you, I love you," or two things to say, and it's really amazing. When
I've watched people work the process.
Happens.
I've watched marriages that are on the rocks work the process and come back together with magnificent love. And I've watched people work the process, we're on the rocks, and sit there and say thank you and I love you to each other and be done. Leave in tears of gratitude for the relationship, but they both know it was over. I've seen them both. And the important thing to get here is follow your heart. Don't follow the TikTok of your emotions, the TikTok of infatuations and resentments, the TikTok of elations and depressions. Follow your heart. And you get to your heart by seeing your emotions equilibrated. When you see the positive peak of the infatuation and the negative trough of the resentment, and you see them perfectly balanced, then your heart will open, and then you'll know what your heart says. But if you're just following the emotional TikTok of infatuations and resentments and elations and depressions, you're going to continue the cycle of relationships looking for the happily ever after that never shows up. So Mike's absolutely right. Until you get to your heart of hearts, it's a crapshoot. Because when you're in your heart, there is no question. When you're in your heart, there is no question about the direction of your life. And your heart is the guide. So gratitude's the key.